Hello and welcome to the first episode of Postmodern Politics on the Lords of War Network. I am your host, Jacob Engels. We have a lot of great content planned for this show, and there's a lot of other individuals on this program who are doing some amazing things. Ethan Nordine, Joe Biggs, Patty Don't Surf, and it's only going to continue to grow. Now, before we get into the rest of the show, I wanted those of you who are listening to get to know a little bit about me. My name is Jacob Engels. I'm an independent investigative journalist, have been for the better part of over a decade. You have seen my work in the Gateway Pundit at Infowars.com, CentralFloridaPost.com, Big League Politics, and many, many other publications around the country and around the globe. I focus on stories that most people often don't pay attention to, mainly government corruption, political corruption, making sure your tax dollars are being spent in the most effective and judicious way possible, and also the culture end of things, because if you're listening to this program, that we have a huge cultural, societal, moral, ethical decline that has been occurring in the United States for decades and has since reached a fever pitch under the former Biden administration with what we've seen of how they are trying to program our children to question their gender identity. They are trying to force children into these radical, extremely harmful surgeries. And that is just the tip of the iceberg. One of the stories you may have seen over the past couple of years from me, I was one of the first people to expose the awful, horrible, pornographic book Genderqueer here in Orange County, Florida. I was actually thrown out of the meeting for simply reading passages that they thought were okay to put in our middle schools, high schools, and allow children to have access to without parental knowledge or consent. And we've seen how they have done this, that the teachers believe they have a better idea of what your child, what the students need to be digesting without having any involvement from the parents. It really kind of shows you the mental illness that's sweeping this nation. Another story you might have remembered from me, Andrew Gillum, the former governor candidate for the Democrats against Ron DeSantis in 2018. We were down there protesting with Matt Gaetz, Laura Loomer. We were exposing the issues they had in this recount process. And fast forward a couple of years, what do we find? We find Andrew Gillum, who is gearing up to run against Ron DeSantis again, and who the Democrats were labeling the next Obama, is found naked in his hotel room, overdosed on meth and God knows what else after participating in a gay sex meth orgy. That was me. That was my story. So I don't tell you these things to toot my own horn. I don't tell you these things to make myself seem important. I'm just trying to connect with you and the audience and get to know each other a little more. You also might have seen me many, many times with Roger Stone and described as Roger Stone's mini-me by the Daily Beast. This is true. I have always been an ardent supporter and defender of Roger Stone, who is one of Donald Trump's longest political advisors, having known and worked with him for over 40 years. During the Mueller investigation, I was there on the ground covering Roger's trial. I, in fact, was brought in by the grand jury during the Mueller investigation just for the crime of knowing and interacting with Roger Stone. So with me, you're not going to get sugar-coated nonsense. You're not going to find me not talking about something or not investigating a story because it might affect my comfortability when I'm at the country club or at church, like so many of these other people in Conservative Inc. do. They are for the movement. They are for America First. They are for MAHA. They are for everything that you yourself are for until it's inconvenient for them, until it affects a paycheck, until they are subjected to the abuse and the utter nonsense and craziness that so many that are listening right now, other independent investigative journalists, you might just be a patriot who's gone out to some of these protests, whether it's during the lockdown in 2016 or everywhere in between. You see what happens on the ground. You've been spit on. You've been yelled at. You've been assaulted in many cases. But Conservative Inc. doesn't go to these things. And if they do, they have bodyguards and it's very staged, couched, and protected. I promise to never bring that kind of content here on this channel. And while we're on the topic of protests and live events and coverage, if you have an idea, if you see something in your community, whether it's in Florida or beyond, and you think it's something that should be covered on this program, whether as a follow-up or for me and my wonderful producer, videographer, Ben Frisbee, Data Battle Z, to come out and document what's happening in your community, we'd absolutely love for you to be able to do that. And don't hesitate. You can reach out. There's going to be an email and a link that you can go to where if you're looking to get in touch, we're here, ready, willing to listen. Another part about this program and just my general nature and how I like to handle reporting, I want everyone to be able to feel like you have a voice. I don't want to edit things in a way. I'm not going to do things like the mainstream media does, where if you want to come on this program and you want to discuss something that's important to you, then you get home and you watch it and you say, well, there was like 20 minutes we talked and I see 2 minutes and it's edited and it's really meant to depict you in a way that is unfair and unflattering. We will never do that here. We're not interested in being like the mainstream media, like the corporate media. We are interested in doing things in a different way and different manner. And big shout out and big thank you to Enrique Tarrio, Ethan Nordine, and everyone else that has helped get this network, Lords of War Network, off the ground. We are incredibly grateful, myself and other hosts who have been given this opportunity. And I think you, the viewer, will be really, really pleased with the content that has already come out. It's been almost 2 weeks since launch, and there have been amazing shows from Patty Don't Surf, a little bit more of a liberal perspective, but we love them anyways. Enrique Tarrio, Joe Biggs is coming up, Zach Reel, and it's only going to continue to grow. Another important part about not only this show on the Lords of War Network, Postmodern Politics, but every show that you see on this network, they want audience interaction. They want you to say, hey, I love the show. Hey, I agreed with it. Hey, I think you were a little off base. We want that interaction. We want to have that kind of relationship between you, the viewer, us as the network, and hosts that make you feel at home, make you feel like you are able to question the meanings of the universe, politics, pop culture, and everything in between. And I think that's really important because there are a considerable amount of great outlets in the alternative media space. InfoWars, for example, is probably the most recognizable. And there might be one in your community that you watch, or you might actually have your own that you produce and put out weekly, daily, however you do it. But we all want to work together. Let's work together in this journey for freedom. Let's work together in this journey to preserve ultimate free speech, stand against censorship, and let's do it together. I'm not here to lecture you. I'm not here to make you feel somehow less than because we disagree on an issue. We're just here to have a discussion and let the viewers reach their own conclusion. It's all about freedom, baby. This isn't an exercise in me thinking I'm smarter than you. I went to college. I have this degree. I've been doing this for so long. None of that stuff matters. Truth is truth. And that's what we aim to do on Postmodern Politics. Use truth and sunlight as the best disinfectant for the things that are worrying you as a father, as a mother, as a brother, sister, friend, engaged member of the community, as a patriot. We want to address the matters that mean most to you. And it doesn't always have to be serious. I want to do movie reviews. I want to talk about the latest music that's out. I want to talk about religion. Anything that you want to discuss, I'm game for. There are no guardrails, there's no bullshit, and there's going to be no opportunity for anyone to ever come on this program and spout lies. Yes, I'll give you the floor, but there will be a smackdown if you come on Postmodern Politics and don't have your receipts. Not in a mean way. It's just truth. It's all about the truth. As we come up to this first commercial break during the program, and we're going to do an hour runtime each Sunday at 2 p.m. that will premiere on the Lords of War network. Look at the social media, look at the Twitter, look at all the other platforms, Rumble. We are going to make sure that you have a million different options and ways to view, because I know, having been censored many, many times over the past couple of years, that you might watch on Rumble, you might watch on X, you might watch somewhere else. But please be a good partner, and if you want us to get on a platform that's easier for you to watch as the viewer and as our partners in exposing the truth and defending freedom, drop me a line. Let me know. We'll figure it out. And now we have our first commercial. We'll see you back in a few minutes. Thanks.
The following is a message from the team at FAT, fighting against thottery.
A new rehab center opening to help women suffering from ASS, also known as Ashley Sinclair syndrome. Do you find yourself caught in a vicious cycle of perpetual hoe bagging, snorting mountains of cocaine, and nightly efforts to baby trap wealthy men by having unprotected sexual romps, sometimes with more than one partner? The team at FAT, fighting against thottery, has developed a state-of-the-art chastity belt, aggressive psychological therapy, and same-day hysterectomies. Call 1-800-STOP-THOUGHT today.
I want to stop thoughting today.
It's been a major news story for months that in the last 8.5 months, I've lost 63 pounds and gained muscle. And people ask, how have I done it? Intermittent fasting, better diet, and taking the right supplements. That's how I've done it. And I got to tell you, out of all the great supplements I take from the AlexJonesStore.com, these three right here are the trifecta. The Ultra Methylene Blue, the highest quality USP pharmaceutical grade that cleans out your mitochondria, gives you incredible energy. The workouts are insane. It's amazing. But I've only been on that about 3 weeks, and that just supercharged me next level. What I've been on for 6 months is the Ultimate Irish Sea Moss. Irish Sea Moss is a known, incredible superfood. This is the strongest concentrate out there, and the gummies are finally back in stock. A 1-month supply, 2 gummies a day. Incredible. And then the Shilajit. We have the best Shilajit. If you don't know about Shilajit, look into it. We've got the best. So, Ultimate Sea Moss has Irish Sea Moss concentrate extract, burdock root extract, bladderwrack extract, spinach powder, natural pectin, and more. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an amazing product. Then, Shilajit Complex. Shilajit extract concentrate, black cumin extract, burdock root extract, Irish Sea Moss, also great, ashwagandha extract, and so much more. The list goes on and on. These are all incredible superfoods, super nutrients in the body, and synergistically together, they are incredible. So get your Ultramethylene Blue, Shilajit Complex, Ultimate Irish Sea Moss, and more right now at the AlexJonesStore.com.
Thank you very much, Jacob Engels, for kicking it over to me. And what an opportunity to be on Postmodern Politics. I would like to give a shout out to the Lords of War, Rumble, and X Network. Thank you very, very much for allowing Jacob Engels and I to be a part of your wonderful network. But right now, we got to get something off of our chest. Jacob, I have to have a heart-to-heart with you right now, and I have to tell you something. It's over. This isn't going to get off the ground. This isn't going to make it past day one. But enough on that. It sure is great to have all the J6ers back. It's great to have all the January 6 people free. It's great to see them all again. Now, folks, I want to say something, but I don't want to call out any names because that's not what this is about. But I'd like to show you what it looks like to the rest of America when we see you January 6s, you brothers in arms, you leadership who we look to during times of great strife. People who stood up when they saw things they didn't like in this country, who were unwillingly roped in to an intelligence operation, a very unfortunate series of events. When we see you gentlemen take to Twitter and other social media and begin bickering and call each other names, it's hard to tell who's right and who's wrong in these situations. It's hard to tell what's really going on, which is why I have to give a personal shout out and thank you to Enrique Tarrio for always being a good leader, for always being steadfast in every word he says, for always being headstrong and keeping his eyes on the prize, which is the way we live here in America. Enrique Tarrio never said anything bad about anybody, even whenever others rolled on him and said horrible, abhorrent things about him while he was locked up, when he couldn't defend himself, he still didn't roll on anybody. When everyone called Enrique Tarrio of this and Enrique Tarrio of that, he never folded. I think all of us need to take example from Enrique Tarrio. Enrique Tarrio is a real man, and I couldn't be happier for him to be in the leadership. And I have to thank you for being so authentic, sir. I appreciate you and everything you've done for me, everything you've done for Jacob Engels, and everything you continue to do till this day. I thank Joe Biggs. I thank Ethan Nordine and the other great host and guest on the Lords of War Network. Thank you so much for your time. Back to you, Jacob.
Hello, everyone. This is Jacob Engels, and welcome back to Postmodern Politics on the Lords of War Network. This is our first episode. We're very excited, and I wanted to talk about a story that, of all publications, MSNBC did a hit piece on me and Laura Loomer a couple of days ago because we interviewed and showcased an exciting new app. It's called iceraid.us, iceraid.us, and this app is really cool where it allows you to report illegal immigrants in real time by uploading to their website, where they then verify and use AI to make sure that the photo is legitimate. But you can talk about an illegal immigrant in your community, somebody committing crimes. They have about 7 different options right now, which is really interesting for you to report crimes. And they work and coordinate with local, state, and federal law enforcement to make sure that they have this information. And the real kicker is you get to earn cryptocurrency based on each report you make. That's right. iceraid.us. And the great thing about MSNBC's hit piece, which we'll have pulled up on the screen here in a second, is that they claim Laura Loomer and Jacob Engels are wanting you to snitch on your immigrant neighbors. Notice how they frame that. I'm not asking you to snitch on legal immigrant neighbors unless they're committing one of the other crimes that's allowed for you to report on iceraid.us. This idea is just so rooted in fantasy from the mainstream media, and this is how they do business. We know that's how they do business. They want to make it seem like we all hate immigrants and we're all racists and white nationalists. They have literally played this game so many times over the past 10 years and longer if you've been involved in politics or have seen this coming through your own personal experiences. That's what they do. They dehumanize you. They want you to seem less than. Oh my God, snitch on your immigrant neighbor and get paid. You must be a horrible human being. Which, if that were the case, if you come here legally, you assimilate into our society, embrace American culture, respect freedom, stand against censorship, we don't have any issues. It's the fact that we've seen in honestly, the past 40 years, and Ronald Reagan did a lot of great things, but his immigration policies were lackluster and created this flow of unfettered, unmonitored, and unvetted immigrants coming into this nation. Many who have serious, dangerous, violent, criminal records in the nations they're fleeing. And then they come here, and what happens? Lo and behold, crime spikes. Lo and behold, the flow of fentanyl, the flow of dangerous narcotics from Mexico, from all around the world into your community. And that breeds all other sorts and types of crimes. If we get that article up, actually, and let's just scroll through it, the one from the Gateway Pundit that I wrote about a month and a half ago, and Jason Myers, who founded IceRaid.us, is actually got a great crypto background, great financing background. This is not what you would call one of the shit coins or meme coins. This is backed by Solana and on very reputable major wallets and networks where you can buy cryptocurrency. So I encourage you to check it out. This isn't an advertisement for it. This is something that I reported on, and I think demonstrates a really interesting concept, and it's called GovFi, where basically by taking those initial first steps and reporting and documenting crimes or illegals you see in your community, you're providing law enforcement with a little bit more to work off and a little bit more of their time to be spent doing the serious part of an investigation, not sifting through horrible tips or tips that can't be verified. So that really operates within the idea of the mandate that has been set down by President Trump's historic reelection, and with Doge and Elon Musk, who are doing amazing things in giving us some accountability in government. It's been a long time since there has been accountability in government, and while Doge and President Trump have done a great job in these first couple of months, we need to see a lot more, a lot quicker, because there's no telling what happens in the midterms. We have control of the White House, the Senate, and the House. It is time to march, or the enemies of freedom, the enemies of our republic, the enemies of anything that is to the right of Karl Marx will steal the march on us. And that would just be an unfortunate day for America. Now, moving on to the next story, which talks about the incestuous relationship between the two-party duopoly, the Republican establishment and the Democrat establishment. I wrote this a few months ago, but I think it's important now as it was then and as it will be until this problem is solved. You have farmers in Illinois and Kentucky, and there has been a faulty dam project, the Olmsted Dam Project, which started way back in the 80s. Surprise, surprise, was over budget and took way longer to complete than what we originally expected. Now, this dam was officially allowed to operate back in 2013 under the Obama administration. And when they released the dam for the first time and subsequently over the years since then, it has flooded and destroyed over 450 small family farms in the Illinois, Kentucky, Ohio regions. We're talking a landmass combined of farms that were destroyed, 70,000 acres. That is the size of Salt Lake City, of Tampa, Florida, if you want to get a little bit of an idea of how big that landmass is. Now, the farmers, after years of losing crop, losing the ability to earn money, and some of these farms have been in the families for generations, they finally stood up and filed a lawsuit. And now the federal government's response in recent court filings was, well, it's past the statute of limitations. You waited too long to be upset about the faulty dam that we built and we refuse to fix. And that's an effective way for them to seize their land because they created the problem They built a faulty dam. The dam didn't work. The farmers have continued since day one to remind and say, we need help. And nothing's been done. Mitch McConnell didn't do anything. Tammy Duckworth didn't do anything. Dick Durbin didn't do anything. Republicans and Democrats have stood in silence over this issue. But there is hope on the horizon. With one simple stroke of a pen, President Donald J. Trump could access funds from what we call the Judgment Fund, which are predetermined and set aside federal funds to deal with issues in agriculture like this. It's not an extra cost to the taxpayer. It's already been allocated for. And you know what the government needs to do when they make a mistake? They need to stand up and own responsibility for it. So we're hoping that President Trump, with a stroke of a pen, can save these farmers. It's America's breadbasket. They work so hard to put food on our tables. They work so hard to feed and fuel this nation. The simple fact that this has not been dealt with yet is terrifying. And all I know is that from what I've seen since President Trump took office, there is hope on the horizon that he will deal with this and he will get these farmers made whole again. Before we cut in to the next break, I wanted to remind everybody that you can follow me at Jacob Engels on X. That's at Jacob Engels on X. And the same handle at Jacob Engels on Parler. And you will see later in the program when we're about to conclude where you can find us on Rumble and other streaming services to watch and share the show. If you did not get a chance to watch it live, we'll have it in plenty of different locations for you to view, to send to friends. We'll have certain clips that were popular, and we'll make it really easy for you to support the program. Thank you all so much. We're cutting to break, and then we'll be back for the third segment.
We have the bad guys, and it's all part of the same constellation. This whole system, they don't want World War III to stop. They don't want all these agendas to stop, turning us into commodities, turning us into guinea pigs. They want our bodies. They want our children. They stole Elon Musk's son. You have to understand, it's all part of the same project. It's all part of training the general public to accept this evil. Well, we're not accepting it. We're standing up. They fear our children. They fear the future. That's why they're targeting. This broadcast is standing up for all of our collective futures. And when you support us, when you share the reports, you are changing the world. You have all the power. So share the live feed right now. Real Alex Jones on X. CIA, mind control, sex slave survivor Kathy O'Brien is on air exposing the Jeffrey Epstein operation and beyond. We need to put that out on X right now. People need to understand. You need to share this live feed. You need to take this interview once we archive it today. And understand, as early as next week, Band.out video's gone. InfoWars is gone. It's all shut down. They're in the news. Receiver, boom. As soon as the 20 days after the Supreme Court of Connecticut said that they wouldn't hear the thing, they said, we're coming. And that the receiver's down in Houston bragging he's coming as soon as he can. We got legal issues, things going on. We got a backup network I don't own, so they can't get that. But when you go to the AlexJonesStore.com, I don't own that. That's our sponsor. That will keep us on the air. And we got to launch the new news site. All this stuff's going on. I've been so busy fighting the globalists and things. You know, the folks have got that almost built. A lot of things are going on. But our work is so important, and the bad guys want us off the air. So go to the AlexJonesStore.com right now. Get the very best methylene blue. So good for your mind, so good for your mitochondria. The very best Irish sea moss, the very best Shilajit, the very best turmeric. All of this is great stuff for your mind. So empowering for your body. The AlexJonesStore.com. And be sure and become a VIP member. You get $40 to spend each month in there for $30. A bunch of extra specials and things. If you ever want a product to sell out, you just become a subscriber, get huge discounts at thealexjonestore.com. Stay with us.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the third segment of Postmodern Politics with your host, Jacob Engels, on the Lords of War Network. One thing that I saw a few days ago from my friend Laura Loomer on her website, loomer.com, let me pull this up right here, is actually a story about the experiments that the National Institute of Health, if you remember, Anthony Fauci, while he was there, was doing horrific experiments on beagles, torturing these animals. It was almost a Dr. Mengele type situation, except he's committing these crimes against man's best friend. Now, we were told that this funding would end, and to Trump's credit, he has made great strides in addressing the animal abuses from Fauci and previous administrations through these departments like the National Institute of Health. However, very disturbingly, and let's get that up on the screen, we're at loomer.com, and she had a headline on April 22nd, exclusive, NIH renews funding for cruel Fauci beagle and trans mice experiments under new Trump administration. Now, we all know that while Donald Trump has done an amazing job through DOGE, executive orders, and other deals he has made with Republicans on Capitol Hill to bring accountability to this government to cut waste, things fall through the cracks. So let's go back to this article. Let's put it up on the screen. We are still funding. This is insane. And by the way, if you look at this and say, oh, well, we need to do these experiments, so, it's just a beagle, it's just a dog, you're sick and you have a problem you need to deal with. But the funding is still continuing. $322,000 grant to Moderna co-founder Robert Langer's new biotech company to torture beagles to test an experimental weight loss drug. $322,000. And it's going to be funded until August of this year. Why do we need to do that? And why is Laura Loomer the only one calling it out? What are we doing, America? We said goodbye to Fauci. He might have his pardon, but he can be charged on the state level. A lot of these people and their criminal antics and behaviors, they cost millions of lives. And they're doing sick experiments to beagles. It must, can, and will stop under Trump. But thank you, Laura Loomer at loomered.com. She's an incredible investigative journalist. She's been on a winning streak with hit after hit after hit, exposing people within the administration who are leaking and lying, holding Democrats and some former Biden people accountable who now want to pretend like they're pro-Trump or they're anti-establishment. That's why we love Laura Loomer. Please support her work at loomer.com. Now, to the next story from the Gateway Pundit. I wrote this a couple of months ago, but it is as important now as it was then. And again, in this first program, I'm just trying to get everybody up to speed so you know what I've done in the past, some things that I've covered, so that you can kind of get a feel for me and how I do business. And let's build that trust together. So we have this, if we can pull it up on the screen, report. USAID funded Stanford University and its Internet Observatory project, the same censorship group that targeted the Gateway Pundit and Parler. For those of you who don't know, during this whole censorship phase, during the first Trump administration and continuing under Biden, and to some respect now, we saw this partnership between private enterprise, government agencies, universities, and media to develop reasoning and give social media platforms and other platforms the reasoning to ban someone, to silence their free speech, to take away their ability to speak out about what's happening around the world in this country. So let's get it back up on the screen again, because the important part here is that this is a state university, okay? This is a university that receives state taxpayer funds, and they're being used to develop reasons to silence people. And not only did they use these government funds to silence and get Gateway Pundit and others banned, they were focused on Laura Loomer. They were focused on Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, Dan Bongino. They developed a whole white paper that they were stupid enough to leave up on their website, which I discovered, and it laid out their whole program of identifying disinformation and misinformation. And one of the biggest victims of this was Parler. If you remember Parler, it's a digital media platform that really emerged as an alternative to Twitter when Twitter started engaging in rabid censorship of anybody who did not toe the establishment line, whether it was establishment Democrat, Republican, or mainstream media establishment, especially when it came to COVID, especially when it came to the 2020 stolen election from Donald Trump. But this organization made a huge attack on Parler, and they actually admitted to it in this white paper where they said they took down Parler. Parler, as you know, got wrongfully tied up and blamed for January 6th. They lost Amazon Web Services. They lost a ton of the functional structural things that go into having a platform like that. And they've been through a couple of owners since, but in the past couple of years, they have had new ownership and leadership that has partnered with the Optio blockchain. So they're able to run completely independently. They are not allowing Amazon Web Services or a payment processor to stop them. They have a great function called Play TV, which is similar to YouTube, or Burst, which is similar to a TikTok. They're introducing a Parler marketplace that will be online shortly if it's not already up. And through their partnership with Optio, operating on the blockchain, now Optio has been listed. It's on the exchanges. So if you had a Parler account, or if you never had a Parler account, the great and interesting thing is you literally get Optio cryptocurrency coins based on the amount of activity that's happening on your profile. The more likes you get, the more posts you make, the more comments that come back on your posts, you are earning constantly, and you're supporting the blockchain in an independent ecosystem that does not get stopped by the mainstream tech community, the service providers who work hat in hand with those who love censorship and want censorship until nobody's allowed to speak up but them. And that's really important. When you watch, if you make the mistake of turning on cable news and the mainstream media, picking up a newspaper, I think most everyone who's tuning in right now will agree. It's absolute, utter garbage. It doesn't make sense. It's condescending. The tone in these op-eds and these articles about anybody who dares to support President Trump, anybody who dares to say the scourge of illegal immigration on this nation are costing lives, creating crime, destroying our culture. Nobody dares to speak up, but we have to remember that the majority of Americans, that is their source of news. That is how they learn about the world, whether it's the latest sports scores, political news, cultural news, religious news, news about the government, the school board, the county commission, state reps, whatever we're talking about. So many people don't know that they have another way to learn about what's happening in the world. That's why I urge you again. Maybe you're watching right now and say, hey, Jacob's not my cup of tea. Check out the rest of the hosts on the Lords of War Network. See if you like what they're doing over there. And maybe you'll find them more interesting. Maybe they'll jive with you a little bit better. Those who want to stick around, those who are enjoying what they're seeing so far, I love you. I appreciate you. And the simple fact that you're giving me a shot means the world. And I will fight for the cause of truth, liberty, freedom, and independence from the matrix and the mind control that we see so many tens of millions of our brothers and sisters under the influence of. We're cutting to the last break before the last segment. Thank you all so much. Postmodern Politics with Jacob Engels.
We wrote the book together on the modern information war and how to take down the tyrannical globalist. We're seeing the biggest victories in our history. And just like I was funding our operation 25, 26, 27 years ago, selling Patriot t-shirts to get the word out so we could identify each other and realize our strengths, we have come from when I would see maybe one Patriot t-shirt in an airport once a year, though I flew dozens of times a year, to every time I go to the airport, they are the most popular genre you see, not sports anymore. Because liberty and freedom is so incredibly popular. It is an adventure to wear the 1776 Americana shirts, the Trump shirts, the InfoWars shirts, the comedy shirts, the largest selection anywhere at thealexjonestore.com. I mean, it is insane. New ones every day, all made in Arkansas and shipped out to you around the country from our sponsor, Bigley, that owns thealexjonestore.com. It's an adventure to wear them. Join or die. Modern gas and flag design in olive green or in black. It just goes on and on. This is the uniform of the Patriots. The left wants to burn up Tesla trucks and sue us into oblivion and try to kill Trump because they want to intimidate everybody. We outnumber them massively. Wear the shirts. Start the adventure. Fund the operation. This is the uniform of the Second American Revolution worldwide. Look at this bad boy. 47 and 45 together. A design I came up with. You know what our marketing plan is? Designs I like, that Bigley comes up with, the crew comes up with, that listeners send us, that I come up with. And the funny thing is, anything I like or I design magically is a bestseller because you're just like me. That's what it's all about. We're simpatico. Get this bad boy right now at thealexjonestore.com. Let's look at this bad boy. The Second Amendment protects the First. I designed this. Class of 1776, another badass shirt. Look at this baby. Yeah, it's an XXL back when I was fat before I lost 63 pounds in the last 8 months. Oh, don't worry, we got it in your size. This was a fan design site. I was like, I don't know. I want to put a, thinking about me for president as a joke. People love it. This is a bestseller. Alex Jones for president 2028, thealexjonestore.com. Now, this is a redesign of a shirt I put out more than 20 years ago. And I'm very proud of this because this design and similar ones that we created is now the most popular Patriot design. I see the Ring of Stars, the Gadsden Snake at the airport, the gym, everywhere. Everybody's putting this out. This is just a fan favorite, grassroots everywhere. And so we remade it and relaunched it, again available at thealexjonestore.com. I knew the minute I came up with this idea that it was going to be a bestseller. And this is one of the top 3 sellers out of hundreds and hundreds of shirts. That big electoral victory map from the 2024 election with Trump, evil lost. It says it all, ladies and gentlemen. Get yours now. You know where, thealexjonestore.com. Now, this seems like a lot of cool designs to you. Believe me, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds on the site. It's crazy. Ball caps, you name it. And I said there's like 4 different genres. Classic, Patriot, Trump, InfoWars, Alex Jones, comedy. There's also what the guys at Bigley come up with. I call the triggering line. There's more than 50 of them. Look at this. U.S. Border Patrol, send them back. There's a lot of really wild stuff, but you wear this in San Francisco, you're probably going to get killed. Wear it somewhere else, you're going to probably get your dinner bought for you. All these and more are available right now. It's how we stay on the air. It's an information war. It's about who wants it most. We've won major battles, but not the war. Thanks for keeping us on air. Buy collectible, badass knives, the best supplements, and more. The biggest selection of Patriot apparel at thealexjonestore.com. And I thank you for keeping us in the fight because we're fighting for you. I'm fighting for myself. We're in this fight together. We can't do it without you, so thank you so much for your past support.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the final segment of the first ever Postmodern Politics show on the Lords of War Network. Now, I've talked a lot about the historical stories that I've done, things that have happened in the past. And I mentioned a little bit about how Laura Loomer's great coverage of how they're still doing inhumane, disgusting experiments on beagles. Part of the show, we want to showcase other people. It's not always going to be about me or my stories or my guests or whatever. So I want to go to another story that came out last week on bigleaguepolitics.com from Shane Trejo. And if we can go ahead and pull that up and put it on the screen, it's called Grifter Alert. Brigham Bueller peddles big pharma trash under Maha branding. For those of you who don't know anything about Brigham Bueller, a couple of years ago he came onto the scene as a former big pharma guy who saw the light and started to get involved in the Maha movement. Opens his own pharmacy, his compounding facility, which is all great news. Don't knock somebody for having a business. Don't knock him for supposedly seeing the light. However, the problem becomes, as Shane Trejo laid out at Big League Politics, and we'll get it up there again, he is literally making knockoff products of some of the biggest big pharma medications that are out there, in particular Ozempic, Mounjaro, the diabetes weight loss medication that you've seen so many celebrities talk about and so many people in your communities use. So this guy who's anti-big pharma, the majority of the medications he provides under the banner of Maha are simply knockoffs of big pharma products. And as Shane Trejo reported, it's not only that he is ripping off big pharma products, he had to have one recall in 2024 because they had mislabeled medication used for injections. So one of the main ingredients to a Mounjaro or an Ozempic that this guy was selling knockoffs of, he included testosterone and mislabeled them. That not only is dangerous in a medical sense and how your body would react, it also could be deadly. Another report from the FDA talks about unsanitary conditions in the clean room. Part of the laboratory where it is supposed to be 100% ship-shape, absolutely sterile. We have people handling garbage and other unsanitary things and then going right back to packaging medical products. So I'm not talking about Brigham Bueller because there's a certain reason in terms of somebody said, oh, Jacob, you got to go talk about him. I'm learning about this on bigleaguepolitics.com, and I actually did a follow-up on stonezone.com with Roger Stone where we expanded upon this and talked about many of the other issues. But herein lies the problem for the Maha movement or the MAGA movement, the America First movement, is we're going to get bad actors in here. People who might speak like we speak, who might be there to earn a little bit money, and maybe we sit there and say, oh, well, you know, politically and culturally we agree. But then you have to wonder why someone like Brigham Bueller with all of these violations and who hates big pharma so much, his whole existence seems to be producing knockoffs of big pharma drugs, and he's not been held accountable by the FDA or by the court system. So which is it? Seems like somebody who has been sent into the movement and is making mistakes, allowed to make mistakes that put people's lives at risk. And then eventually, we're going to see the headline, Maha alternative medicine treatment specialist, Brigham Bueller, arrested, charged for one of these dangerous activities that he's been involved in. And then it'll all be our fault. But enough on that. You can go to bigleaguepolitics.com. Shane Trejo, first through the door on this one. It's an amazing story. I urge you to read it. There's a follow-up on stonezone.com where you can check out kind of my thought process on the whole matter. Now, we're going to go to another story. And this one, you know, a lot of us at Lords of War had to deal with the fallout from J6, the Mueller investigation, and everything in between, whether you're being targeted on a local level, on a state level, on a federal level. We've all had some kind of brush with the politicized justice system that has been allowed to run amok. So I want to talk about an individual named Mike Shirley, a GOP campaign consultant, somebody who was caught up in a case where they were trying to take down Matt Gaetz and President Trump. Now, Mr. Shirley, who's also worked in various governmental capacities in the past, in Texas and in Florida, this is a by the books, nerdy guy. I mean, not somebody who commits crimes, not somebody who is willing to lie to get out of trouble. And therein lies the problem. If you go to the Gateway Pundit, and we'll pull that up on the screen right now, I wrote an article in January titled Trump Pardoned J6ers, but What About This Man? And politically, Mr. Shirley was roped into the Joel Greenberg case, which infamously tried to take down Matt Gaetz and even tried to draw some connection with President Trump. Now, Mr. Shirley was asked to lie about Matt Gaetz. He was asked to lie about President Trump, refused, and has been sentenced to prison. There's a lot in the story to talk about, and there's a lot that I just like you to learn. So go to the link that you see right now down on the screen, and we'll pull it up to make sure you can see what you're looking for. Learn about the case of Mike Shirley. It's a miscarriage of justice. He was not part of the J6 cases, but the same tactics and abuses that they used against our political prisoners of J6, they used against Mr. Shirley many, many years and times before. Last story, and I think this one is just amazing. It's from Kim Coulter at the National File, talking about the sheriff in Orange County, Florida, who I originally exposed, and Kim did a lot of extra groundwork on this, but I originally exposed him for defying the president's directives to arrest and turn over illegal immigrants, violent, vicious, illegal immigrants. The sheriff sent out internal emails through one of his subordinates saying, if you are in contact with an illegal, you must get permission from a supervisor, from the sheriff, from so-and-so. That puts our law enforcement agents at risk. And Kim Coulter at the National File did a great job expanding upon this story. It's Sheriff John Mina in Orange County. He is disobeying the directives from President Trump and recently signed into state law under Governor DeSantis. So we just want you guys to have a whole host of stories that you can look at, get a feel for what you're going to get on this program. I am so excited to have this opportunity once again. Postmodern Politics with Jacob Engels. Follow me at Jacob Engels on X or at Parler, and I'll have a lot of other links that'll be posted here at the end when we conclude. Thank you, God bless you, and know this: the fight for America is not over. The fight for freedom, liberty is not over. The fight against tyranny, Marxism, communism must continue. We have had great victories in the past couple of months, but we cannot let our foot off the gas, and I will never, ever, ever relent. Postmodern Politics with Jacob Engels on the Lords of War Network. Thank you all for a wonderful first show, and I hope to see you back next week.
This is a review for the Ultra Methylene Blue from the Alex Jones store. Usually don't do reviews like this, but just wanted to compare it to this Earth Harmony Ultimate Methylene Blue. And so basically I've been taking the Earth Harmony for a while until Alex Jones came out with the Ultra Methylene Blue, and I must say that it does a damn good job. I noticed about 15 minutes ago I took 10 drops of the Ultimate Methylene Blue, which is about 5 milligrams, and within that 15-minute period definitely noticed my focus, cognition increased, good energy right now. I'm a practicing dentist, so I have more patients to treat coming up, so I'm always looking for that afternoon boost without the slump. And so it definitely helps if you want that good extra boost, especially midday, and you don't want that slump like you might get from taking caffeine or other stimulants. You'll definitely get it. I will say that the Earth Harmony, it did do a good job. There is no flavor with the Earth Harmony. It had that kind of bitter taste to it. So what I do like about the Alex Jones Ultimate Methylene Blue is you have a nice flavor. It's like a mild mint vanilla. It's not overpowering. It doesn't taste like mouthwash. It's a very nice subtle flavor. And then also the efficiency of it. I notice it kicks in a little bit quicker. And so we'll see how long it lasts. And then I'll see how my sleep is tonight as well too. And then like I said too, with the USP grade, we know for sure that we're getting USP grade. I know Earth Harmony does say it is USP grade, but again too, I don't know specifically. They could be for sure. I'm not sure, but I'm just giving you my take on it. I would definitely recommend the Alex Jones Methylene Blue here. It's great stuff. So thank you, Alex. Keep it coming, and we'll see everyone soon.
I don't hype things. If I tell you something is amazing, it's because it is. I've taken methylene blue off and on for 6 years since my medical doctor told me to get USP. That means pharmaceutical grade. You can get it, online. And then I noticed that I got some effect. It's good for your mitochondria, energy, with no letdown, because it's not a stimulant. It just gets the electrical operations in your cells working better, similar to iodine, but in a different way and stronger. And then when I got this medical grade, I noticed it was way thicker and way stronger. And so we got a bunch of other brands ordered last week, and what I thought was true, and listeners already figured this out themselves, I noticed a bunch of testimonials on X, where they got these other brands, and they're not deep, dark navy blue and thick. It's just a bright blue. Some of them is like a baby blue on paper. And that's exactly what I thought. They're saying it's USP. A lot of it isn't USP. And it's watered down. So I'm not just saying this because, oh, we've got the best, so you should get it from us. I told the guys, go out and find the best. And they went and did their research, and I kind of got pissed because it took them, I was telling them 6 months ago to get methylene blue. But turned out they got the place that makes a bunch of the pharmaceutical grade, because they also use it in surgeries. So that's why theirs has got to be absolutely the best. It gets tested a bunch. It's very strong. Most people get blown away. Everybody feels the energy. The workouts are so good. It's amazing. And a lot of bodybuilders I've now learned mix it with vitamin C powder and things. So get your Ultra, that's the brand name, private label, one of the top firms in the country, Ultra Methylene Blue at thealexjonesstore.com. And I asked listeners that aren't into methylene blue, try it out, test it against yours. And they're like, yeah, mine says USP too. It's not as dark, not as thick when it comes out, raw in the bottle. And wow, this is way stronger. So we really hit a big one on this. Just like our Irish sea moss is rated the strongest, our Shilajit's rated the best, the turmeric's the highest quality, the strongest. I mean, that's what we go for. And then when we find a better supplier, we move, and then we call it plus, because under the regulations and things, you reformulate, you have to change the name. You just say plus, plus, plus. So most of our products have a plus on it, because over the years, we just upgraded. Because see, I want to bring you the best, because I take this, and I treat you like I want to be treated. I was born like this. I'm an old line Texan. It's all about hospitality. We're real nice till you mess with us, and then we're real mean. And I love you guys. You've kept me in the fight. This is our fight together. Thank you for all you've done. If you're a listener that's never gone to thealexjonesstore.com and checked out the widest selection of Patriot apparel, gotten the incredible game-changing supplements, and more, what are you waiting for? Become a VIP for $30 a month, cancel any time. Get $40 to spend the store each month. Special deals, special offers. Everybody that's going to support us and get great products should be a VIP at thealexjonesstore.com. Also, it sells out sometimes. Any product you want to have, subscribe to it, get bigger discounts. It never sells out.
Yo, I just got the Ultra Methylene Blue from thealexjonesstore.com. Got 2 bottles here. I'm gonna try it out. Shake it up a little bit. Just got back from work and I'm feeling tired, but I'm gonna try it out. See what happens.
The old-fashioned artillery. Genius.
I'm gonna do 15 drops. It says 20 drops, but I'm gonna do 15. So I took my methylene blue and I feel good. My skin feels warm. It feels like my blood's flowing better or something's happening anyway. Something's definitely happening to me and it feels good.
God almighty.